Is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Tuesday night. It's mod fight night. We've got mods against our Discord. I'm Pope Hoffy, joined by my boy Oliver here. We have got some exciting matchups for you tonight. How are you, Oliver?
Oh, I am living the dream. You know, my throat's a little bit scratchy, but we're gonna muscle through it. I got some nice chamomile tea sitting over to the side right now, and you know, this is gonna be a fantastic day for Legacy. I'm so jacked about this first matchup, Pope.
Dude, this matchup is insane. Guys, if you have not checked it out, we do have the deck list posted already in the video. And if you cannot, for any reason, hear us, understand us, we do have closed captioning on in the chat here. And so we are playing. Mike is on Dimir Shadow, and we've got one of the funniest and coolest lists. I love to see this list. It's been on MTG streams. It has been used by MTG creators all over the last couple of months. But we've got the creator of the list playing Curse Stompy here, and I'm so excited to see it.
So of note, this is the hilarious part. So Reaple Cheap, really notorious in the legacy leagues or legacy challenges every single Sunday, has been playing this list now and really dedicated to it for about the past year and a half, right? Ever since right before COVID. This is Reaple Cheap's third match of paper legacy with it ever. Just number 3. That's it. And I'm so excited that we get to share that with everybody here today.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We're so excited he could share this experience with us, and that we get to put it on stream as our round one to start the night off. So for those of you who don't know, this deck loves to play Curse of Misfortunes, slap it on their opponent, and just every turn just get more and more curses on the other opponent, and it's such a sick list. I'm super excited to see it. But then also on the other side, we've got one of the prominent lists that's really running around right now, Dimir Shadow, which is just a super strong list.
Yeah, so the most interesting thing about this matchup for me, right, is the Sphere and Chalice effects on Reaple Cheap's side.
Hmm.
Of course, curses, there's going to be one main board way for Mike to actually interact with a curse. He has the single Brazen Borrower to petty theft something back. Hopefully, the first tutor curse, I believe it's Curse of Misfortune. However, of note, Reaple Cheap is on the play here. Both players mulled down to 6. Looks like Mike is actually going down to 5, but Reaple Cheap kept that 6. If Reaple Cheap goes ahead and just slams a turn 1 Trinisphere, it's going to be really hard for Mike to be able to claw his way back in.
Yeah, and we spoke to both players. I think they both know what they're playing against each other. Especially, I'm pretty sure that these players are very experienced against each other. They have played all of the time on over talks, but it's kind of the only deck that Reaple plays that we know of. And Mike plays everything, so Mike could be on anything from Reaple's perspective. But I think they both know what they're playing against here today. So it all depends really on those quick mulligans as we see Mike here going to 5.
The running joke right now for all of us is that Reaple Cheap has been on this deck for about a year and a half, and Mike has been on this list for about 6 hours today.
Yep. Yep. Mike is a very powerful deck pilot, so I'm excited to see him pick up something new outside of elves and basically whatever Mike wants to play. He's got about everything in those boxes behind him. So Mike down to 5 here.
So ironically, Mike has kind of known Reaple Cheap longer than about any of the rest of us, right? Just because of so much time spent on the Pox Discord
Yeah,
where Reaple Cheap has been. But Reaple Cheap starting off with this turn 0 ley line.
sure. That's just a great way to start. Gets rid of 2 cards instantly in Mike's deck. Basically, Ethereal Forger almost becomes uncastable for a little while. It's going to be a very long time before we see Ethereal Forger hit the battlefield.
Yeah, interesting thing of note is Mike not playing any Gurmag Anglers, and it really just being the Ethereal Forger as the only delve threat. I really
Mhm.
like that in a grindy game, but that's so interesting. Just 'cause I'm so used to seeing that real big fish, that good old 5/5.
Yeah, I'm actually so I haven't seen a whole lot of Legacy Shadow. I have a really good friend. Shout out my boy Nick Brown for being basically the shadow god at our LGS in Virginia. Basically playing every iteration of 3 color, 4 color shadow that he can. That is a hand and a half to see a thought seize.
Oh, this is so. This is a Soul Land, a Trinisphere, the Helm of Obedience, which goes infinite to kill with the Ley Line of the Void, and a Chalice of the Void, right? Um,
That's so
what do you
nasty.
take here? Do you have to take the Trinisphere just because you're going to get locked under this 8 ball?
I mean, maybe, or I mean, a shadow deck can get through a Trinisphere. It becomes more of a grind fest. Can the chalice be more of an issue? It really depends on what's in Mike's hand. Like that's the real big scary thought is how many 1 drops or 2 drops does Mike have in his hand?
That's
And
very
from
true. So if
From
Mike has one of the 4 dazes in hand, right? That's just
yeah.
an easy can avoid the Trinisphere. We're expecting Reaple Cheap to go Soul Land, play Trinisphere right into Daze. But if you don't have that, I with the threat of combo kind of coming down, you might
Mhm.
need to just take that if Mike doesn't think he's going to have any interaction for it. This is really difficult. This is a
Yeah,
hard one to choose.
absolutely. And I mean, Mike is on 10 practically free. Well, 8 free at this point. Counter spells, but also 10 in possibility. Um, so Mike could have, even with a mold of 5, it's a full 18% of his list is counter magic. So, or whatever that math is, 10 out of 60, whatever that number rounds up to. It's like, I think it's like 17 or 15%.
They're seeing the Trinisphere get slammed down here.
Yeah. So cycle the Street Wraith here to go to 13. We're almost to the magic number of 8. There's the force. I think that's absolutely the correct call there to take the chalice. And if you knew you had force backup. Like we said. And for those of you who have never seen Shadow play, most Shadow players will agree that 8 is the magic number, so you can start slamming a 5/5 down every turn. That's where they like to be comfortable with a 5/5 into a 6/6 into a 7/7, right around the 8 to 6 range.
That's interesting. I would think in general to be really be wanting to get to that 9 number, right? Just so
Mhm.
you can play it as a 4/4 and then not have to worry about getting bolted. But that makes sense to want to add 5 just because then you're able to take that turn cycle down in terms of how many turns it takes to actually kill your opponent. I mean, 5 is just one turn less than 4, right? Or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Mike thoughts he's against these double helm.
Oh, that was the draw. That's scary.
Dark Rit. We could see something come down here.
Well, this
Unless
is just lethal with Helm, right?
it may be. I'm not entirely sure.
Helm is 4 to cast and then is just going to be 1 to activate, right?
Hmm.
Let's pull this up real quick. Humble Obedience, an absolute reader.
Yeah.
You pay X and tap it to put the top card of or to put the top card of the library. And essentially, what you do is you keep. I forget what the exact text on it because Leyline is there. There's no amount of cards to actually be able to read that they've happened. So I believe
Yeah.
Helm is you just mill that first one, and then it goes, oh, we haven't milled that first one. It's not in the graveyard, and it does it again and
Yep.
again and again
Yep.
and again and again.
Yep. That's exactly what happens. It's a really nasty 1-2 combo with Leyline of the Void. So yeah, basically Mike gets decked here, unfortunately, and loses the game. But that was a really powerful showing there from Mike in game one of just complete hand disruption. But double helm is just the worst nightmare to see with City Ritual. Just a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, of note, that second helm was the exactly thing that was needed. There was only one more in the deck, right? There's
Mhm.
exactly 2 helms in the list.
There
That
are
was
two helms.
fantastic. Yeah. Should we
Yep.
jump over to sideboards?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at our game one winner here. We've got a Vault of Whispers, Liquid Metal Coating, one Sorcerer's Spyglass, one Ensnaring Bridge, three Opposition Agents, four Plague Engineers, two Plague Reavers, Commander Legends card, another Helm, and another Mycosynth Lattice. Basically, though, none of the gray cards are coming in. We've got a Karn toolbox kit here. Um, yeah, not coming in.
Yeah. The one thing of note is just that the list that we're looking at here is slightly different. We're actually looking at Reaple Cheap's 14th placing list from this last Legacy Challenge on Sunday. And I do know that the one thing that's changed out for the list that's actually happening today and what we have in Cardboard Live is that there's two opposition agents and one Tormod's Crypt. Most likely
Gotcha.
it's not
Okay.
actually going to be coming up in this matchup at all, but just of note that there are only two opposition agents in the sideboard. Um, can I just say how much I love to see Plague Reaver?
Yeah.
Super cool, but do you think that's coming in here?
I don't think so. I really don't know. This is a weird matchup for Rapel Cheap just for sideboard options. I would love to see four Plague Engineers just slam down and name and basically just name Avatar, but you can't do that. But at the same time, I mean, I guess you could see Plague Reaver coming in. It really just I just don't
Yeah,
know what else you would do with it.
it's really interesting. I imagine we want to keep all the curses in. Again, big caveat on this, I do not know how to play Curse Stompy whatsoever. This is a list that I have to
Yeah.
theory craft while watching. Um, but you want the defense grids, I imagine. Possibly Collective Brutality is one of the cards that can come out if you do want to be bringing in the Plague Reaver. The kind of
Hmm.
cool thing is you can give them the Plague Reaver and then have Mike sacrifice his really big guys, but you're still giving a 6/5 that's essentially still going down the plan. Mike's
Yeah.
deck is the creatures are just meant to be big, right? It isn't about them having other abilities for the most part, except for, of course, the giant whale. But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if we have that switch out happen. That's the only possible thing, right? Should we jump
Yeah.
over to Mike's list?
Yeah, and this list is super, super exciting. Very powerful 15 cards here. We've got one Brazen Borrower, two Feed the Swarm, one Cage, two Hymn to Torok, one Caracas, two Liliana the Last Hope, two Plague Engineer, two Ratchet Bomb, and two Surgical Extraction. Instantly, Ratchet Bomb, fantastic card. Think it's just a really good card.
It's perfect for killing Chalice of the Void, right? Just get to play, immediately blow it up.
Yeah,
At the same time, I do wonder if we're going to see the Feed the Swarms. It's interesting because it's quote unquote the curse deck, right? And there's a lot
yeah,
of really good targets for it. But at the same time, it's this weird mashup of you're losing the game to the curses, but you're getting locked out by these artifacts. So I do think
yeah,
it's a little
absolutely.
up in the air. I still imagine that the Feed the Swarms are going to be coming in. And then I can also see the Brazen Borrower coming in as well.
Yeah,
Just super
absolutely.
versatile, able to hit all the permanents on board that really mess you up.
Yeah, I think I personally think I saw Mike board in 7 cards there in the match. I'm pretty sure we've got a Brazen Borrower, two Swarms. I would assume two Torok, and I would assume two Ratchet Bombs would be the 7 cards that were coming in right there. Um,
What do you think's coming out? The Ethereal Foragers seem easy, knowing that this is a 4 ley line of the Void deck. What do you
yeah,
think of the other cards that are coming out? Stifle,
def-
possibly?
I think Stifle does nothing right now
Oh,
against you.
Fatal Push, also.
Yeah,
Snuff
Fatal
Out
Push
would be pretty
gone.
bad, also.
Yeah, Fatal Push gone. Snuff out's fine. Um, yeah, so that's 2, 4, 6, maybe, and then 7 Stifle. That's your 7 cuts right there. 7 for 7 trades.
This is going to be interesting to see the way this works out. Mike definitely has a lot more to work with in the sideboard, for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and of course, Mike is going to be on the play here. Mike, unfortunately, going to 6 right away, it looks like. And I believe Reaple Cheap is still looking at their first hand.
Yeah.
So here's the question. How much do you think this matchup kind of flips over now that Mike's on the play? We talked about how scary it was to have Reaple Cheap on the play with that threat of the turn 1 Trinisphere before you're able to get down a land to potentially daze. Do you think that this swings over to be a matchup that's an advantage for Mike, or do you think this is still kind of an uphill battle?
I think Shadow is in a much better position when it gets to go first with the amount of hand disruption, the amount of basically interaction that they have on their side. Being able to go turn 1 Delver, turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 1 Ponder, turn 1 Brainstorm, really put them, I think, in an advantage over a deck um, like Curses here, Curse Stompy. I think this is still going to be a very awkward uphill climb for Mike because it's a like this isn't a fight that you're ever going to see often. It's not an MTGO matchup that you write in your notebook about for sideboard plans. It's something you have to like be ready to go with on the fly. The guy who's there to basically what's the term here? Basically meta stomp, and it can just really get you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless you specifically play against Reaple Cheap or the few content creators that pick it up for a couple of leagues, you are not going to be going up against it very often. I want to say, in my experience in Legacy, I've played against it twice, maybe. And that might be a gross estimate. Actually, that might be overvaluing how many I've actually played against it.
I think I've seen the list once, other than tonight. I think this is the second time I've even seen the list. I've never played against it. That also, I haven't played the Saturday event in a while. Shout out MTG Paper Legacy Discords for being all their tournaments on my work schedule.
So speaking of these tournaments, I got a question for you, Pope. If
Yes,
I
sir.
liked what was going on here today, if I liked what I was seeing in the Twitch stream and I wanted to get involved, how could I do that?
You could hit exclamation point Discord in the Twitch chat and be brought straight to the invite link that links us to the MTG Paper Legacy Discord, where we have games going 24 hours a day. Um, I get home at midnight every day from Friday to Monday, and there is always someone in chat LFG looking to play Legacy. We've got Vintage, we've got EDH on Fridays, we've got Tuesday night fight nights, Saturday and Sunday tournaments for both Americans, and then a bi-weekly EU tournament. We've got FNMs, we've got pickup games, and we even have our monthly league, which I think we're at like 120 players this month. I don't even know how many crazy people we have. Um, Just so many things that we can do with our wonderful, wonderful community here on the MTG Paper Legacy Discord. You can, I believe, I don't know if we're even allowed to talk about it yet, but I believe we're doing something pretty cool in the next couple of weeks with our fight night. I don't know if we've officially are going to announce it yet, but we have some pretty cool stuff here in the works for what we're going to be doing on our Tuesday nights.
Yeah, definitely. So if you actually join the Discord, or I'm sorry, the Discord, you can go and actually check out our event calendar, which has the full list of events and as they happen, all the way right now through, I believe it's going up through June. So you can see next week on Tuesday, we're going to be doing a meme fight night, which is always one of my favorite times. I love any chance I have to actually play me some Cabal. Let's just put it like that. The following month, we have a good amount of PvP, just players duking it out with their current legacy decks. We have another mod fight happening, and then I believe we are having Team Unified again,
Yeah.
which is an absolute blast
Such
last
a
time.
such a sick fight. Like that was such a fun. I think I casted that one as well. That was such a fun time. Uh yeah, like I said, I think this is a great spot for Mike to be in turn one Thoughtseize. Just looks really good going down to 17 and being able to Thoughtseize your opponent.
We're seeing 4 lands, one of them being that's a bridge, right? As the white bordered card there, an ensnaring
Yeah,
bridge,
that's
and the
absolutely
Plague Reaver.
yeah. So Nathan did call it. This was a Plague Reaper matchup, and it is being seen here. But yeah, that is an ensnaring bridge. We've got a collective brutality. So as you may notice them that they are. We allowed him for this event because they are being used for the. He has the check cards for position as he just showed there. These are Hagra Maulings in spot for the planes. He just didn't want to sleeve them up. He has them in the sideboard for flippability. We were allowing that. It's no big deal. But yeah, just reading over Hagra Mulling and Hagra Brood Pit, which is the rare tapped land from Zendikar Rising.
I love that card so much.
It's a
Also,
great card.
it was one of those things he was asking, "Can I just use a planes?" And it's like, well, it's a basic planes is essentially the exact same thing as one of these, the blank checklist cards that you're supposed to use for it. So it's just like, yeah, that is fine.
It happens. Normally, for most of our events, we do require, as you'll see if you go to the Discord and look into our announcements and our basic server rules and announcements and introductions pages, you'll see all of our basic requirements. We are full proxy. We are a full proxy server. We do not believe that price should ever stop anyone from playing a format as awesome as Legacy. So we do allow full color paper proxies in our leagues, our fight nights, our tournaments, basically everything we do on our server. So, but we made an exception as they are using them as sideboard flip cards.
Ooh, seeing a wasteland on the Hagra brood pit or whatever it is called.
Yeah. The Hagra Mauling and the Hagra Brood Pit. So you had it exactly right. But yeah, that's got to feel bad for a Reaple with only a basic swamp left in the hand right now that we know of.
I of note, I do believe Mike is at 15 right now, right? From the Thoughtseize, Fetch, and Shock. However,
Yep.
Mike really is in a difficult spot here. Mike kind of pondering away, but Mike unfortunately had to mull down to 5 already in this matchup. And
Hmm.
being on the place where Reaple Cheap gets to go up on an additional card after only being at 6.
Hmm.
It's just not where you want to be in this when you are kind of just casting your Thoughtseizes and one for oneing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a great spot for a list like Death Shadow where they if something does go wrong, Death Shadow falls behind very quickly, and with the life you're taking away from yourself, up to 5 in a turn in some cases, you put yourself in a very nasty hole. Like I said, that's why that magic number is 8, where it's not like you're going to get killed instantly, but it's also not high enough to where you have a lethal Death Shadow on turn 1 kind of deal. Another wasteland here for Mike here. Really like that.
So Reaple Cheap is able to potentially just go ahead and deploy this Plague Reaver right now because of the Soul Land. It is, I am curious. All right, just plays an additional land as well. I do like this. You're able to go ahead and collect a Brutality, and then you're able to deploy the Soul Land on the turn you
Mhm.
play the Plague Reaver and play around days essentially. And
Yeah.
we see the
And
days here from Mike, so we would have been definitely blown out by going with the Soul Land into Plague Reaver. So some good
yeah,
piloting from Reaple Cheap there.
yeah, absolutely.
So this is difficult. Mike gets to shock again off the
Yep.
Wanderer Grave, be able to go down to 13 now.
Yep. Mike goes to 13, looking real good for a Death Shadow player for life totals. Getting closer and closer and closer to that. Um,
Well, life is a resource, as that say they say, right? And especially when you're playing Death Shadows.
As Mr. Jack Sack would say, and I think that shot is one of the greatest examples of it. Greatness at any cost. You go down to one if you have to. Anonymous gifted Nathan a subscription. There you go. Your Twitch Turbo does not matter anymore. Welcome back with the 4 month sub. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you, Anonymous, for gifting that sub.
Reaple cheap with, I believe, two unknown cards in hand here, besides the Soul Land and the Plague Reaver.
Hmm.
I have to see what happens here. How much is the Tutoring Curse again? Is that a 5 mana Curse of Misfortunes?
Yeah, Curse of Misfortune is a 5 mana black and 4. So a little ways off from that, but once that gets on the battlefield, that pretty much can start ending the game in a chalice on one.
Fantastic. Exactly what you want to be doing against the cantrip deck. Hey, Pope, I know
Ooh.
how much you love humility. What if I told you that there was a card that was even better? It was a one-sided humility. How would you feel about that?
If I had a one-sided humility, I think I would play it in probably everything. One-sided humility sounds fantastic.
Well, you know, you just need a Curse of Misfortunes to put it into play for you or
Yeah,
to get to 8 mana somehow.
yeah. Just give me overwhelming splendor. Sounds great.
Perfect. So this
Mike,
brainstorm is resolving.
yeah, Mike showing off our wonderful MTG Paper Legacy tokens there. For those of you who are new to the stream, we have free tokens for our event winners, for our league winners. So many cool ideas. We've had Brainstorm, we had Dark Ritual as the last month, and I'm pretty sure I haven't been around the last couple weeks because I'm working. We announced the third one, correct? We've announced the third one,
Yes, we have.
and our third one is a fucking doozy. We've got crop rotation coming, and we are still waiting on our wonderful in-house artist Alba to finish that up. But we are so excited to announce that we have our third as crop rotation, and we're so excited.
So we're seeing this days. I'm a little confused why we didn't deploy the Ancient Tomb. I guess really just wanting to get another basic land source to be able to play a 5 mana spell on the turn that you deploy the Ancient Tomb. However, it did just make it so we kind of walked into days on deploying the Chalice.
Yeah, goes to 18 here, plays the Plague Reaver.
And that is a big guy.
Yeah,
So, Plague Reaver, of note for everyone out there in the audience, at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice each other creature you control. Reaper Cheap does not have any other creatures, so that does
yeah.
not matter. But then you also can discard 2 cards and sacrifice it, choose an opponent, and then Plague Reaver will go to their battlefield under that player's control at the beginning of the next upkeep. So basically, you can serve as a wrath that gives them a 6/5 body. You're going up against elves or another kind of synergy based creature deck,
Mhm.
or just beat in with your own 6/5.
Yeah, and that the only thing that can get really scary is if you do end up giving that to your opponent, but you have no way of getting rid of it. It can be a really, really scary idea of giving your opponent a 6/5 on accident with no choice of either just taking that to the face.
The one thing of note is that it's really hard to make it so a Plague Reaver can attack with an Ensnaring Bridge in play, right? So at
Yeah,
least you have that 1 point of protection.
yeah. You've got the great old, I might say, white bordered ensnaring ridges.
Ooh,
Looked great.
glorious. I love it. I love it. Might go ahead and fetching, getting an Underground Siege, choosing not to shock here.
Yeah, going to
Then
12.
either Mike is tanking or Mike is passing right now.
I think Mike is probably tanking pretty hard. I think what is it, a 6/5 staring at you right now? Yeah, 6/5 staring at you can be a little spooky. Not sure what you want to do here. Mike doesn't have great removal other than fatal pushes, but we're pretty certain this may have been boarded out.
Oh, I imagine they absolutely were. And Snuff Out, of course, cannot hit it right because Snuff Out can only target non-black creatures. So your only way of oh wait, Feed the Swarm. We talked about Feed the
Yeah,
Swarm
feed the
coming
swarm.
in for
Yeah,
the
feed the swarm.
enchantments.
Yeah,
There we go.
definitely a feed the swarm. Yeah. And I think that's a really great one because even though it's a 6/5, it's still only 3 mana, so it's not a huge hit to Mike, but it's still a nice enough hit where Mike's, like I said, one life away from that magic number, but we still have the possibility of a 4/4.
And of note, right? Like you want to be holding that Feed to Swarm to be able to hit the Curse of Misfortune when it comes down before it triggers on the next turn.
Yeah,
Or I suppose it can't because it's on your upkeep. But you want to deal with the curses as they're coming in. But at the same time, that's 6/5. If you have no other way to deal with it at this point for Mike, is a 2 turn clock.
Feed the Swarm is a sorcery.
Was that not played on Mike's main phase? I'm sorry, in Mike's on Mike's turn. Let's go ahead and let's check out the chat here. We're going to check with our lovely table spotter. This is a moment for us to always thank the people who we have on the back end of our streams. We have the good old Hi Boy, who's going to be our table spotter today, really in the grit and typing out everything that's happening in the match to make it easier for us to keep track of for us in the booth. And the lovely Beyond Sadistic, who's our streamer as normally is on our Tuesday fight nights. Really the true heroes who keep everything running for us on these fight nights. And it looks like we're going to pause the players real quick.
Yeah, we're just want to make sure that Feed the Storm is an actual sorcery here, making sure that it's being cast at the correct time for our players.
It definitely it definitely is a sorcery. We know that
Yeah,
much. It is a matter of what happened there. It was a little interesting. We didn't see a lot of the action that was happening on the board. We saw Mike tanking for a little bit after going ahead and fetching the UC. So it definitely is a sorcery. Yeah, we know that Alucartes. But the question is where we were at in the turn cycle when it was cast.
yeah. We what is being put up? The people saw him cast it. Then he untapped. So we're making sure that it was cast during either a main phase. But looks like the players are good. Everyone at the table understands what happened. We may have just missed a pass, a draw go, which looks like that may have been happened. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like
perfect.
looks like it was at an end step on accident. So they put it in the main phase two. Nothing was done on Reaple Cheap's side, so there's no really need to really back it up aggressively. But looks like both players are good in understanding.
So both players
So
are kind of playing draw go here. Nobody's really establishing a threat. Mike's still with these 3 cards in hand. I believe we know that Mike has a Watery Grave in hand, although that could be wrong. Maybe that's the one that's already in play. But Reaple Cheap with a full grip or with 2 cards in hand that are really unknown. And I have to imagine that these are some of the bigger CMC spells. Like, in other words, the entire curse package.
yeah, maybe. I'm also worried that Mike maybe is sitting on like 3 copies of Force of Will here and not being able to do anything, or is sitting on what we could assume maybe an Ethereal Forager or a Street Wraith and not able to do anything with it right now, and could just be stuck. Which does happen to Death Shadow decks. They can kind of just grind to a halt, which is where being stuck at 7 life can possibly kill you.
I would have to expect that this is a certain amount of permission being stuck in Mike's hand. Potentially,
Mhm.
some of the other cards we talked about, like the Ratchet Bombs, the Feed the Swarms, the Brazen Borrower. I have to imagine that. Oh, is this the Bryant Cook signed Moxin that we've heard so much about?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, fantastic! I love it.
Yeah.
So Reaple Cheap, of course, I think a Patreon gifter to the Eternal Glory podcast that Brian Cook is on sent in his Chromox to get signed by Brian Cook, the Epic Storm Master. That is awesome. For a second, I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, is that another proxy for the Hager Mauling? No, that can't
No,
be. That is
that is a signed Chromux.
absolutely
So
gorgeous.
we escalated. Yeah, fair. I did call. That's 3 forces stuck in his hand. Um, and the street wraith. I got four. I got four of them. I'm good.
Technically, we named every single one of those
Yeah,
5 cards that are
that's
stuck in hand right now.
brutal. That's brutal. Um, but yeah, so we did escalated brutality. So we target opponent reveals turn hand. I'm guessing also that we had target lose 2 life, gain 2 life. Yeah, up to 5 to 20. Um,
The good old burn spell mode of that. So perfect at this point in the game.
yeah.
I would have loved to see the collective brutality for lethal if Mike got a little bit too greedy, but we're not quite seeing it.
I mean, there's 2 more copies that we have. I mean, unless we saw one earlier in the game. I think we might have saw one earlier game. That they could get down to it if Mike's not careful.
Oh, Soul Land. All right, show me the curse. Show me the curse. That's what I'm here for. All
No,
right, no, we're
draw
passing. Oh,
pass.
dang.
And I
Show
think
me the
Mike,
curse of misfortune one time. That's all I want here. Of course, that would just get forced, but still.
that's a Delver, not the 1 drop that Mike wants right now. That's a Delver. But we're
That is
gonna see 3 mana here. Yeah, he's gonna play the front side of Hager Mulling, um, which is destroy target creature.
Of note, getting the reduced cost because Mike has no basics in play. Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he can't cast this right now until he has priority. Um, Delver's on the stack.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. So if it resolves, Mike has priority first before Repo Cheap is able to do anything. There is the possibility that Mike just passed priority right away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike has to do another thing before priority is established. Oh, they went to end step. Cool. Gotcha. Wonderful table spotter, AJ, doing great work, letting us know exactly where we are in the game. We're in end step. So yeah. And then
Seeing another brainstorm. So Mike's gonna be able to put away some of these bad cards in hand, namely the. I'm surprised we haven't seen a Street Wraith cycle yet, to be totally honest. 5 is essentially the same as 3 in this matchup, where
mhm,
you're only really afraid of the cruel reality burning you out.
yeah.
Um, but we're able to put away this. What is the artifact happy thing? Why I'm absolutely losing my mind right now. The Ratchet Bomb, able to put away that and some of the other bad cards that we don't necessarily want. Hopefully, if we find a fetch land.
Yeah, it'd be great if we found a fetch land those top three. But Mike passes at the end step brainstorm. So
Off the top, show me the curse. Show it to me. Slam it, Reaple, please.
that's a chalice. Chalice on one. With a handful of forces though. That would possibly.
I imagine Mike lets this resolve if he, as long as he kept the Ratchet Bomb in the top of the 2 cards put back or in hand.
Yeah. This has been a super interesting match. This is so good.
Oh, it's been
Um,
so grindy. It's both people just hoping for stuff off the top, and
there's
here
the
it comes.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's the ratchet bomb. Tap crack, see ya to your chalice. Pretty good match. Pretty good fight right there. I like that.
All right, Reaple, what you drawing next? See, this game is actually perfect because we're going to get to see so many draw steps from these players. We're going to get to
Yeah.
see a lot of cards out of this curse deck.
We'd like to see a curse. I'd love to see Curse of Misfortunes hit soon. I'd love to see it.
That's why we're here, and we haven't gotten a chance to see it quite yet.
Yeah, the other sad part is maybe Repo Cheap has maybe like two ley lines in hand, just can't do anything with them.
You
That
can
could
still
also be
cast them, right?
he could still cast them, but unless maybe he boarded out the ley line helm combo.
It is interesting to look at because when I looked at Reaple Cheap's list, I was expecting that if the Plague
Oh,
Reavers were going to be
shows him
coming
the
in and
ley
being
line of the
productive.
foot.
Oh,
It's just been one of those days. I'm calling everything.
just
Just gonna
psychic,
cast
baby.
the ley line.
Psychic.
Uh God, I'm so good at my job. Magic Wizards hire me to be the. Well, wait, you guys canceled Pro Tour, but um,
No, there's
put
just no
me
MPL. You know what? You can still commentate the Pro Tour
yeah,
equivalent
put me on the Pro
in
Tour,
months
of
from
Marshall
now.
Sutcliffe, please.
So it makes sense for Mike to let this resolve. The only reason you need to actually be afraid of it is if you have the helm come down and you're sitting on so many forces at this point that you don't need to worry about that whatsoever.
Mr. Fringe, we will see it soon. We will see it soon. Ascendancy is not put together right now because I'm having so much fun with Phoenix. I think Phoenix is super powerful right now in its format. Gonna definitely keep grinding that matchup, making sure my sideboard's perfect for that. Gotta have some more answers for ninjas though. Tired of ninjas. Another Delver from Mike here. Mike, I hope I just has Mike just not seen a Death Shadow? Like, that's gotta be brutal.
I mean, if he saw it, he would play it at this point. So no, he
Yeah,
just hasn't. He just hasn't had it whatsoever.
it's an 8/8. Goes to 4, could go to 2.
I
Does,
imagine because we saw the collective brutality still being in, I have to imagine that Mike's going to avoid going down to 2.
does Mike have basics? Mike doesn't have basics. Grabs a UC. Okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure. But Mike did not have basics in the list, just in case he needed to grab something that wouldn't put him at 2.
So we've seen 2 Hager Maulings. There's 2 left in the deck. There's the threat of 2 more collective brutalities as well as terms of removal to deal with this threat.
Yep. Yep.
But are we gonna see this insect go all the way? I will get excited if we see the insect getting all the way in this match.
Delver doesn't flip.
Okay, never mind. Alright.
Delver's not gonna flip.
It's gonna be like that.
Oh no, no
Shadow.
Delver flip.
Shadow. Show it to us.
Oh, Ice Bear Streams, if you would come in, I would make it personally that we could try and play on a fight night. I would love to see you play. We could get Phoenix versus whatever Maverick build you've got and get going on this stream. I'd love to see it. I'd love to make it happen.
As somebody who got to playtest you a good amount when you first put that Phoenix list together, it is scary. I lost a lot to it, let's put it like that.
Well, Ice Bear Streams is one of my OGs from my LGS, and he has not seen the Phoenix list. So he's definitely been there for all the Ascendancy bullshit, but he has not been there for the new Phoenix build. So I want him to play against it. I want him to. We need to get some testing in after testing after this. Blackwood testing after this.
4, 6 Curse of Misfortune.
That is a curse of misfortunes. No, it's not. It's curse of fool's wisdom.
Oh, that's right. That would have also been a clock, but that gained force right away, ditching the stifle that's still in really interestingly.
Yeah. Hi, Taylor. Oh, it looks like I may be playing some Legacy after this stream. That's exciting.
Hope has a busy schedule, okay? He is just,
Yeah.
he is just filled up. Every hour is taken. We're incredibly lucky we got to have him with us here for these 3 hours for fight night.
Uh, nah, and I'm happy that I work mornings on Tuesdays, which is it is a Grixis Phoenix list. That I get to work mornings on my Tuesdays, which are my Fridays. So I'm able to come over here when if we have the ability for me to be here, which is my favorite thing. We did get the Delver Flip app finally. Um, reveal the feed this form, by the way, which is super sick. Um,
So any curse will be dealt with. This either gets forced, yeah.
well, he can't deal with any force; it would kill him. I mean, he can't deal with any of the curses; it would instantly kill him, Mike. That
Yeah,
feed this
very
form is
true.
dead in hand.
And Mike now at 2 of note off of that Force of Will being alternate cost. So, and it looks like Cheap was down to 14 on the last attack. So this swing should be getting Reaple Cheap down to 11 and Mike at 2. Is
Yeah,
Mike going to be able to bring this back at
I
11?
absolutely hope so, so we can
Oh,
get
at
a game
11.
3 with this matchup. And Mr. Fringe, to be the last thing I say, it is not an Entomb list. It is a Turbo Buried Alive list that I am very comfortable with because I've been playing Phoenix for a long time. It is very consistent, it is very fast, and it can beat you down in 2 turns. That's a 3 ball. Don't think Mike cares right now.
No, not at all.
Swing 3. Ping you to 8.
Mike has found his golden ticket and he's going to ride it all the way. The plan is this one insect.
I
That is
mean,
the way we're going to get there.
that sometimes is just how Legacy rolls. A flip delver can just get you there. Um, and I know some people may have a problem with that, but that's just what it does.
Chromox pitching, unsure at the moment.
I think that might have been a dark ritual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect.
Swing 3 again. Go to 5.
So with the known feed of swarms in hand, it has to be Curse of Misfortunes off the top to get an upkeep trigger
Yeah.
before the feed is able to be cast, right?
Yeah, this Mike I mean, he has legal fetch targets, but he couldn't bring them in. This is a 2-in-2 matchup. This is the turn. Um,
Cheap is down to 2. Mike is down to 2. Friends have the same life totals, and
shows him
we're
4
scooping it
lands.
up. Oh my
3 lands and a
goodness.
Chromox. Oh, that's brutal. We're going to game 3.
And we kind of saw what kind of can happen with Reaple Cheap's deck, though, right? Where Reaple Cheap is able. The only sort of like hand manipulation that you're able to have with that deck is your opener and
Yeah.
decide whether or not you mulligan. After that, it is just off the top. Like if you
Yeah.
chain 4 dark rituals in a row, it's going to be pretty hard there. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what we saw come from Reaple Cheap, right? That handful of Moxen that just really wasn't doing anything and really no threats to play. And Mike was able to slowly just get his way back, slowly cultivate a hand with multiple forces and protection, the feed of Swarm as well, and get a single insect and just go to town all the way.
Yeah. That was almost I think that was a 12 turn game where we had 6 turns of just draw go. But I know that there are many legacy players out there, even in our chat, who have this discussion of, is Delver just too powerful because it can just do that? It's a 1-1 that flips to a 3-2 that can just bring a game back for you. Mike was dead to rights by a lot in Reeves' deck, but it just couldn't get there. But
So
Delver's able to just claw back.
what does besides the deck that's casting it right now, in the game that we just saw, what did Delver do that Tarmogoyf doesn't do? Or any threat, really, right?
That's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. I think just the versatility of a 1 drop. I think that's just where people have a 1 drop on turn 2 that can turn to a 3-2. I think that's. I love Delver. Delver's an Arclight Phoenix. I love the card to death. I think it's extremely powerful. Um, I think it's one of the best 1 drops that Magic has ever played in a creature base. I think it's one of the most powerful 1 drop creatures, maybe in the game. Um,
I would absolutely agree with you on that. And of course, I'm not meaning to say whatsoever that I'm very polarized in this decision whatsoever or on this argument. Just for the game we saw here, Delver didn't do anything that any other 3 power or bigger threat wouldn't have
no,
done.
absolutely,
You know what I mean? The
absolutely.
evasion meant nothing. The one CMC meant incredibly little.
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it for this game, that was just a really bad Death Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was just a Death Shadow that just went over everything, and unfortunately, there was nothing for it even to go over. Um, just took a walk through the ley lines. I mean, it just walked right through. Delver do go burr. I mean, that's just sometimes what happens. But so can a Goyf. So could a young Pyromancer. There's so many things that could have just gone. I mean, I left. Arclight Phoenix would have just done the exact same thing. It just sits there, hit you for 3, hit you for 3, hit you for 3. Um, but in Mike's case, like Champagne's absolutely right. It just slots so perfectly into every blue deck. Um,
So the
I
real
mean,
question here that I have, I'm sorry, if you do you want to keep going down this rant?
that Champagne's just question. I think each 1 drop in Magic has its own perfect abilities. Mom and Noble do their things the way they're designed to do their things. I think um, that Delver is exactly the same way. But good lord, what a great start by Reaple here. The turn 0 leyline, Chromox imprinting, the crazy Hagar Mauling, and we're going to see a turn 1 collective brutality um, right away.
I imagine this is into rest mode. Also, how great is it to have a land that you can pick to Chrome Mox? That's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's so sick. And we're going to see a force negation here, pitching a daze.
This is an incredibly aggressive force.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to assume Mike has some very powerful things in hand that he did not want him seeing.
I imagine seeing a fetch shock here in the
Gotta,
coin group. I'm sorry, go ahead.
gotta appreciate Mike for going to 19, not making sure to think about if he's going to go to 17 or not. I always appreciate a Magic player who just goes, I'm going to crack go to 17. Because sometimes you change your mind and players get mad at that. Cool. Enters, goes to 17. I always appreciate Mike when he does that. Makes me very happy as a Magic judge. Just makes me very, very happy.
Oh, see, I don't have the patience for that whatsoever. I made my decision way long ago, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a Thoughtseize start here, or is this just going to be an early Delver threat?
I mean, you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 cards. Reaple has 2 cards in hand. I think that could be very powerful right now. Or just to ponder. Possibly put them down to 1.
I really want to know what is in Reaple Chief's hand besides this collective brutality. There has to be at least one payoff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is first of all, it's extremely fast hand, up to 2 mana, um, right away. I'm gonna guess probably maybe a City of Traders, and we could even see maybe so Swamp 2, Chalice on 1.
Oh, that glorious old border chalice. Look at that beauty. That good old brown artifact.
Looks fantastic. One of the best reprints. Another Force. Uh, one of my favorite reprints of all time that they did. Chalice and Brown Border is just so beautiful. Force Pitch Days. Good lord.
So Mike is
Not letting them resolve anything. Just
no,
I
but at
have
the
all the
same time,
power.
just so many 2-for-1s on himself. Mike, I believe, down to 4 cards now at this point.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Show it to me. Show me the Thoughtseize. Show me the threat.
Taps for mana. Show me potato salad. Come on. Shows Thoughtseize.
All
Good
right, let's see what's
call.
in hand. Show it to me.
One card left in hand, I believe. It's a helm. Oh
Ooh!
my goodness. What a beautiful time Thoughtseize.
Oh, so perfect. That thing is gone. It gone. There's only one more left in the deck. You almost can not worry about the combo anymore.
And also, just to point out, Mike's on one land. That's huge. As
Oh,
of right
that's
now,
very
Mike is
true.
on one land. There it is. Cool.
Okay. Of note, I do really like that force on that chalice. I don't mean at all to imply that that was a bad play to be hitting both those cards and
I mean,
doing two for once on yourself.
in
Especially when you
hindsight,
have so many one drops, right?
Mike would have lost.
Oh, 100%.
No, you just let down. Mike has two cards in hand. Um, but I mean, if that chalice resolved, Mike can't Thoughtseize take the helm away. That's just game. Slams a Death Shadow as a 2/2. We finally see the Death Shadow in game 3. The namesake. We see it finally.
Now, will we get to see the namesake of Reaple Cheap's deck, though? Are we going to actually see a curse resolve?
Chalice on 1.
Doesn't matter anymore. We got a threat.
Yeah,
We
I'll
don't need
hit
to
you for
cast any
2.
more one drops.
I'll hit you for 2. Oh, we
Not
absolutely. But,
not
you know,
not the most impressive Death Shadow, but you know what? It's going to get there nonetheless. This is a 10-turn clock, baby.
it's going to get there. Tick, 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 tick. Goes to 16. Here we go, baby. Start up the timer. Here we go. Count the clocks.
I wonder if Reaple Cheap need to find more mana sources off the top here.
I think that's what we're looking at right now. Probably another land. Missed another land drop. Let's see. Shadow's playing 18. And Reaple Cheap is also playing 18 with 4 MDFCs as well. So
Oh, so the virtual 22 lands, right?
so it's kind of surprising they flooded so hard right now. That's really not flooded, that they're just missing every land drop right now. There's a City of Traders. That is a Plague Reaper. Plague Reaver.
You know what's bigger than the Death Shadow? The Plague Reaver.
Yeah, that's a 6/5 to a 2/2.
So I don't believe that we'll be seeing a Fatal Push here. I can't imagine that it's worth keeping it in against two Plague Reavers. And the only potential
I don't
tokens.
think Mike made any sideboard changes, honestly. Um, but that 6/5 is not a problem.
There is Feed the Swarm as your possibility to deal with this, but
Yeah. You just got to find them or wait till you have an opportunity to play it.
so the real question here is if Reaple Cheap's going to start attacking with the Plague Reaver. So you swing in at Mike, hit him for 6, get him down to 5, but then that Death Shadow is an 8/8, right? And you're
Yeah,
not going to be able
8/8.
to get through that again.
Yeah, it's a really awkward standoff now because Mike Reaple technically is in full control. Um, it's just a very awkward thing. It's very awkward. It's a very awkward Mexican standoff where Mike's like, "Sure, you can hit me for 6. I'll go to 5, but now I'm gonna hit you for 8, and I have an 8." But also at the same time, if Mike cracks back, Reaple has lethal. So it's a very awkward scenario. Mike goes to 8. So we have a 5/5 online.
So I like this. So now Reaple Cheap has to the do you attack in is even harder for Reaple Cheap. That question's even more difficult to answer because a Street Wraith in Mike's hand makes it so this Death Shadow is out of nowhere able to just completely eat the Plague Reaver. I can't imagine we're going to see Reaple Cheap attacking it anymore.
No, I think this is going to be. I think unfortunately Mike is now in the perfect position to take this game away. Um, you have a 5/5 with the possibility of bumping the creature up at any moment. Um, with a cycled street wraith, that would be huge.
So I believe we are on Mike's turn. Mike deciding exactly what he's going to do here.
No, we're on Reaple. Mike
Oh,
passed.
we are. Okay.
Seeing a three ball with a chalice. God, that makes me. I hate it. I hate it.
Oh, you wanted to cast spells today? You wanted to cast spells? You don't get to.
So I always love to tell a story. My favorite line of text is the first line of text on Trinisphere. As long as Trinisphere remains untapped. My favorite card in Ascendancy that people always bring in against Ascendancy is Trinisphere. But Face Stitcher's in the list and you can tap down a Trinisphere.
Amazing. I miss when artifacts are templated that way. It's the same for Winter Orb, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. So second Leyline of the Void here for a Reaple. Doesn't do much on the board. Might discard the hand size.
There's a lot of one traps in there. Are we
Uh,
gonna see Mike try to chalice check?
no, I don't think so. But I mean, there are a bunch of people watching, and it's really funny if he does. You know,
Oh, I'm a big fan of the chalice check. We'll all 10 out of 10 will always attempt to do a chalice check.
Chalice on one counter.
Wait a few turns. I'll ponder.
Oh yeah, sure, it's fine.
Okay, it's gone. All right, sorry, I tried.
I don't think so, Mr. Fringe. I wouldn't believe so.
Yeah, it's just a 2/2 body, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. But it's when you're expecting to play a Death Shadow, it's already out of range of 3. So in this case, Mike did cast it as a 2/2, but um, it it's usually most of the time it's a very bad thing against a Plague Engineer deck. I'm sorry, against the Death Shadows list, it's just not the best. Mike gonna discard a hand size again, pitching a Delver.
Of note, it is able just because of it being a 2/2 death touch body, it is able to trade with a death shadow.
It is absolutely able to trade. I just don't think that's what I just don't think that Reaple needed them. Maybe that's hindsight now. It's absolutely hindsight now, but just really depends.
So both players kind of staring at each other.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to be the first to blink here. Nobody's
yeah.
going to be the first to attack unless something happens to this board state.
I mean, and unfortunately, it's just not going to be Mike because Mike can't do anything. Mike's digging for a ratchet bomb. I guarantee that's just what he's doing. He's got the 3 mana for a ratchet bomb. He just needs to find it.
Does that really do anything besides unlock your spells, though? It hits a Crow Mox to hit a mana source as well.
Oh, I
Or
mean,
you could also just take it up to 3, right? And just wait 3 turns, hope that it doesn't get interacted with.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things you could do. Um, I think the biggest one you want right now is you just get rid of Chalice.
I'm not gonna lie, I keep getting messed up by the Chrome Mox with 2 cards underneath it. I keep thinking that,
It
oh,
taps for black. It taps for black. We're mono black curse Stompy. Um, gonna show the
that's old. -1/-1 to all of Mike's creatures. As an Infect player, this is the card that I fear most out of this deck.
yeah, that's pretty brutal. Um,
And
Horses. It's so funny.
Death Shadow's a
So
6/6 now.
so funny. Death Shadow is a 6/6. So now we're very close. Okay, Mike can now make his Death Shadow bigger than the Plague Engineer. I mean the Plague the Plague Reaver.
Attack, do it. Show it to us. Because you attack in. Oh wait, I got the life totals confused for a second. No, this does the force block. Thank you so much, Seisma. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the follow.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the crack would bring him down to 6, which makes it a 7/7, which then gets over the Plague.
But you are then dead on the crackback, right? Assuming that you go ahead and fetch as well to be going down to 6.
It goes to 6. I mean, he can block this. It doesn't have Death Touch.
Does it?
No.
Let's read all the text on this card. It does not have Death Touch.
No, a card that has Plague in the name does not have Death Touch. Um,
The inner Vorthos in me is just livid at that.
yeah. I mean, Mike can just so Mike's at 6. Mike goes to 6, gets a UC.
So it gets blocked away. We have damage marked on this Death Shadow. And that's a Helm. Is there another force? No. That's going to be it.
That's so insane. Look at the hand. 2 Death Shadows, 2 Ponders. Digging for that Ratchet Bomb. I told just looking for it.
Oh, that is, oh my goodness.
That's
The
so brutal.
the curse drawing out the Force of Will. Kind of up in the air of whether it needed to be forced, but understandably a target that you do want to force if you have the resources for it. But then Reaple Cheap finding the second helm. And you want to know what's so ironic on these 2 games that Reaple Cheap won? It was the second helm that did it. The second
Yep.
out of 2 in the entire
Second
deck
helm.
list.
Second helm gets there. Well, guys, that was just match 1 of the night. We've got 2 more matches of our wonderful mod team going up against some of our wonderful players here in the Discord. I'm Popoffy. That's Oliver. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Stick around. We've got some great matches up ahead. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Take care, everyone.